Welcome to the Pit Village podcast. I've got a little story today. Story of a guy who set himself an aim. He wanted to become reliable and sustainable on himself, create a business and not have to work for anybody else. So I want 100 people to pay him £30 a month for a website. Cold called, created the websites, achieved the aim, and ultimately realised that was fictitious and it was not going to sustain him for the long term. It wasn't permanent. There were a lot of problems. And this guy suffered a mental breakdown. He opened a podcast and he aired it all over the space of 2 months and told everybody that he was crazy and that he was depressed and all this. And through that, he learnt a lot about himself, but also about the world and where we're heading at the moment and how hard it is to engage an audience, build an audience, and how important that's going to be for people in the future as we move towards the attention economy. So this guy is doing a podcast right now at the moment, and he doesn't even know what to say because it's been a couple of weeks. And here we are, we're on the Pit Village podcast. I've got a couple of sound bites.
Can I stop this?
Why?
Because I'm bored out of my mind.
I know, mate. I know. To create an engaging piece of content and build yourself up as a creator, do you know how hard that is? Yeah, I do. Because we're trying it now. And it's like, what we're going to do, playing over...
Fuck off!
What?
Fuck off!
Bit of Gordon Ramsay.
It's rotten!
It's not going to keep you sustained for a long time, is it? That a couple of sound bites. But we've been experimenting and setting some things up. But I've been doing a lot of thinking at the moment in regards to how do we move forward into this new economy, into the attention economy. If you've been listening to this, you'll have seen that I've sort of said, look, I'm suffering from chronic stress. I built a business. It's labour intensive. Some customers, I shouldn't have been servicing them. And I broke down basically, but the business has sustained itself and I've built something for the long term. It's a residual based business. They pay me on a monthly basis for websites I've already created in the past. I had 100 customers throughout the last sort of 15 months as I've been building the business. I've lost around 30 of them. So I've got a sustainable company here and these people pay me on a monthly basis. I just update the website. It takes me a couple of hours to complete the work. So it's like if I can spend one day a month for a full-time wage, I got all the time in the world. But what you find then is that if you're not a fully balanced person, if you're not got a lot of interest, all you want to do is continue to grow, but then you question that growth. You start to think, well, why do I need any more money? Why do I want more customers? What is this going to sustain itself for the long term? And in fact, is it worth it? This is a labour-intensive company. It takes me a lot of time to create these websites. And I've just stressed myself out taking on 3 jobs. So, like, how far can this go? So I took 3 jobs on at once, suffer from this chronic stress breakdown, aired it all on here. It's a bit career suicide. This isn't it? It's absurd for me to be speaking into this microphone and releasing this piece of art online, because what you find when you start doing anything like this, you start recording a podcast, you're no good. Obviously. Like, I've been judging this podcast and thinking about, why am I doing it? What am I doing? Is it any good? Obviously it's not good. Because I've been doing it for 3 months. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just talking into a microphone about anything. So we've got a bit of a point to make today. Let's assume that we've got a point to make, or I wouldn't be talking into this microphone if not, I hope. We're going to talk about the attention economy and why it's so important for us to learn these skills, to be able to, I suppose, portray yourself in a way, because it's career suicide for me, this particular podcast, because I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm talking about all these things that I maybe shouldn't be talking about, like things from the past, bereavement, deaths, addictions, and all this stuff. It's not, if I were applying for a job and they were to listen to these podcasts, I don't know whether it makes somebody want to hire me, because I'm not trying to be a professional and be, here I am. I'm just being me, who I am. You're seeing my flaws, you're seeing that perhaps I'm no good at this, I haven't really got it planned out. It's not something I can go and showcase to somebody, but I suppose the fact is you can't judge something, can you, after 3 months? Because if I'd have judged my business after 3 months, I'd have quit. If I'd have judged anything that I was doing after just 3 months, I'd have quit. But the consistency's hard. Like, I've developed this, but there's no particular point to it. I haven't said, right, I'm going to do a podcast and it's about boxing and I'm going to speak about boxing. So I think this is one of the first lessons that I've learned doing this. If you are going to become a creator, so let's talk about it. If you're going to create content and you want to build an audience, which is the new economy in which we're in at the moment, we're in an economy in which you're going to have to build an audience and monetize that audience in order to survive. We're in the attention economy. And you can see this unraveling at the moment. There's a good article here from the Influencer Marketing Hub, a primer on the creator economy. So first off, they have defined the attention economy, as we did before with the 1990s article. How information has become abundant, so therefore attention becomes scarce. But they bring it to current times. How do creators make money online today? Shares from the advertisement revenue, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, whatever it may be, paid subscriptions. Talk about building an audience, the different types of marketplaces that may come from this, how it's going to evolve over time, and building a loyal audience that actually care about what you say and maybe pay you. Because if you've got 1,000 people that pay you £100 a year, that's a wage, a good wage. You don't necessarily need millions of people listening to you. You just need those loyal people who, care about what you say, care about your message, and want to help you push that forward. But what you'll find as well is you'll not want to talk about certain things. So, yeah, I got a podcast and I could talk about anything on here because it's not defined. I suppose that's a little bit of a benefit. It's just me and my interests. But sometimes my interest is like, I did one on the Tether scandal, which is developing at the moment, and you'll see in that podcast called Crypto Mania from last month. I was saying this is social listening. I'm going on Twitter. I'm trying to find things that are developing at the moment. And maybe in a couple of weeks, this will be picking up some traction. And if you look in the news at the moment and on Twitter, Tether is getting a lot more attention. So I think part of this attention economy is actually understanding what people are going to care about before they know what they're going to care about. Being able to sort of be on top of things. You'll see a lot of podcasts that are successful, and they're just talking about topics that are happening within that week, and they remain relevant on a weekly basis. And they make money how? Through paid advertisements on the podcast. And it's just becoming more and more the norm. This is becoming a real economy within itself, and it's going to take a paradigm shift for us people who sort of grown up in the 90s and early 2000s as this has been developing. I think that the younger generation already get it. This is their world. Like, these YouTubers are the sort of entertainers of the day, and The Rock. The Rock is now sort of Logan Paul and KSI and Mr. Beast. And when you start delving into this new economy, because I'd never heard of these people before I started doing this podcast, and then I sort of start looking around the market, start thinking about things differently because of the information that I've gone through over the last couple of months on this podcast. Go listen to the attention economy, and we sort of talked about that and went through the article. And things are changing. Look at the boxing event that's just happened. First we had Logan Paul against Floyd Mayweather, and then we've had the YouTube and TikTok boxing, who were paid over £5 million each. That's twice what Khabib were paid to fight Conor McGregor in one of his last fights before he retired, when he sort of beat Justin Gaethje. But you got to consider, these people have built up these fans through a long career creating content, marketing themselves, building an audience online, and they bring that audience to wherever they go. It don't matter whether they're doing a boxing match or they're, racing on ice skates. It don't matter what they're doing. People are paid to watch them. And this is where we are at the moment. So it doesn't matter about your credentials. As long as you can hype something up and sell it, and you've got fans and people that care about what you're doing, you're always going to be relevant. And that means you're always going to have money. So money's going to follow the attention. And this is what we need to start to understand. I think the days of getting a job and educating yourself and getting a career, them days are over, in my opinion. if you want to be successful. Even building a business and leveraging other people and having to pay somebody else to come in, because that's where I was at. I was at the point where if I wanted to grow the business, I would have to hire somebody else. But to me, that's a outdated concept. Unless you've got a, scalable business, I guess. It'd be very different if I was selling a software as a service and leveraging technology at the same time. But I'm not leveraging technology enough. I'm not leveraging these systems enough in order to make a lot of money. And it's not actually about making money. It's about sustainability over time. It's about creating something where you know that you're going to be secure because you've got a skill set that other people may not have. So I'm preaching at the moment. I'm preaching.
But why you do not put her to her cage?
We've got the attention economy. Some good articles, not a lot. Not a lot, I must admit. The age of the attention economy fueled by social media addiction. A good one again, speaking about us. But to put this more into perspective, we've got the Instagram rich list online. And this is done by Hopper. HopperHQ.com. Instagram rich list. So the celebrities that get paid the most, it's Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, $1 million per post. Kylie Jenner, $986,000 per post. Cristiano Ronaldo, $889,000. And of course, Kim Kardashian, $858,000. Ariana Grande, $853,000. This is how much they get paid for one post on social media promoting somebody's product. You got some others: Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, Lionel Messi, Jennifer Lopez, Nicki Minaj. These range between £600,000 and £800,000 for a post. But you don't necessarily have to be a celebrity. So if you go to the beauty list, yeah, of course, there's these large people, 44 million followers, $91,000 per post. That is Huda Katan. Again, somebody I've never heard of. But all these people, if you go down to number 28 on the list, 600,000 posts, Holly Boone, £1,200 per post. Still a decent living. If you go to travel, the top guy, K.O. Castro, from South America, he's got 19 million followers on Instagram. He charges £130,900 per post. But the next one after that is only 44k, and then it's 27k. Number 23 on the list, £1,300. Camilla Milja has got 200,000 followers on Instagram, and brands pay her or him $1,300 to post something with their product. 1 million followers. Chelsea Yamisi, never heard of him. $10,000 per post. Let's go to sport. David Beckham, $339,000 per post. And that's with 63 million followers. I don't necessarily think it correlates with the amount of followers. Of course it does. But also it's your influence. How can you influence your following? Have you got any stature over them, any authority, any engagement? Conor McGregor, number 12, 170,000 a post. If you want Conor McGregor to post about your brand, it's going to cost you 170 grand, according to this list. Floyd Mayweather, £108,000. You can only imagine he probably takes that every day. It's crazy, isn't it, when you consider that you can leverage the attention that you're bringing to yourself just purely off of Instagram to get a sponsored post. Again, if we look at the fitness brands, the first girl, Michelle Lewin, 13 million followers, $29,000 a post. Even at the bottom of the list, Dylan Werner, 800,000 followers, 1,700 a post. So 1 million, it's you about $2.5 grand per post. If you've got 1 million followers, it looks like that'll get you around $2.5 grand a post. Which is interesting, isn't it? If you consider that's a decent wage. 1.5 million followers, $6,600 per month. It's the bottom of that list. In fashion, the top 31 million followers, they get 91,000 per post. 600,000 followers, $1,700 per post. 1 million, $2,900 per post. So about $3 grand a post if you can get 1 million followers on Instagram. It's not too bad. Again, 6 million followers, 18,000. So it seems to be about £3,000 per million followers. Maybe that depends on the engagement of your brand and all that and your celebrity. But these people are leveraging attention. And there's billions spent on it. 89% of marketers consider that Instagram influencer marketing is a top priority. So this is a growing thing where somebody will build themselves up and build attention within the world and sell that attention to brands. People have got more power than brands have now. It's going to be with the individuals. Mr. Beast, the top YouTuber, will probably be sold as an IPO, as a brand, as a company, and you'll be able to buy shares in that brand, and it'll be like Coca-Cola, a public traded company, but it's just based on his videos. And then probably, if you're subscribed to him on YouTube, what'll start happening is brands will pay him to be in their advertisements, or he'll probably advertise all his own stuff, and it'll be his own brand. He's already got a burger place that he's got in the UK and the US. So it's very interesting. When you start delving into this, people are building themselves up as an identity online, as an entity online, and they're monetizing it. And you might only need 1,000 people who actually care about your message and what you're saying to monetize and live off your own creation. Because this is art. As much as I mess
I might want to cut you a little, suck on your blood.
As much as I mess about with
Wow.
it's to get something right. I know that I'm not getting it right at the moment, and it's sort of, you don't want to put it out, you don't want to record, you just think, oh, whatever, and you stop doing it because you know that I'm creating something here that is not at the level that I've got good taste in podcasts. I've just listened to Dave Chappelle's, a lot of Joe Rogan, of course, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I know I'm not creating something that is that level, but how am I ever going to do that? Or how am I ever going to create a business around this economy? If I don't search to understand it, I'm going to be left behind, because it's not just about building a business. This is what I've learned over the last 15 months. I've been building this little company, but once you get there, actually you start to see the flaws within that as a business, as a strategy moving forward. And maybe you've got to build yourself something else. Think about it. We're moving into a new economy at the moment. This is probably the biggest lesson that I've learned in the last 3 months, which is why I want to revisit it, and we'll continue to revisit it. I've got a couple ideas. I want to start doing videos maybe and looking back at, for example, I'll listen to Russell Brand and a lot of his YouTube videos and his content. But if you go back to what he was doing 7 years ago on YouTube, the truths and all this stuff, it's very rudimentary. It's not as good as what he's doing at the moment. So, of course, you've got to build to that. You've got to understand this medium and understand yourself, because a lot of this is understanding yourself and having a point of view. So if you've not got a consistent point of view and you don't know where you stand on stuff, and you don't know who you are, how can you present a message to anybody about anything? Because if you've got a point of view that you're standing on, something that you stand for, you can argue that within the context of anything. But if you don't know actually what you do stand for, then it's just going to be a discovery process, which I think the last 3 months has been for me. It's just all a discovery process. I've realised I don't actually know who I am. What message have I got? So you need to know your message, what separates you from yourself. And And in business, don't set yourself up for failure. Personally, I've set myself up for failure. I'm in a saturated market, and I've been doing studies. Well, I've been trying to study, not doing studies. I'm not a fucking professor, man. I don't know why I try and say what I say on here, but you sort of recognise you're putting it out to the world, I guess, subconsciously. I don't know. But the point is, I've been trying to study this book, Blue Ocean Strategy. And I say I've been trying to study it. I should just listen to it. But I'm just listening to book summaries and all this, and I'm being lazy. But I'm in a red ocean at the moment, which is what I've realised. I'm in a very saturated market, basically. Let's not use metaphors. Leave that to the book. Saturated markets exist nowadays because it's so easy to get into business. Anybody can set up as a business doing whatever. And it doesn't matter what expertise you've got. If I've got a better website, I present myself to the world and I might get a video made. It doesn't matter anymore. I can just market myself better and I'll get more work. So your experience and all that, who cares? It's all about how you present yourself online. But the problem with that is every market becomes saturated, and website design, which is what I do for a living and my business, it's very saturated. Anybody can do it. Anybody can set up a website design company. It doesn't take long to learn how to create a website. In fact, you could probably create your own website. I'm competing with Wix and all this sort of stuff. It's just very, as you can imagine, it's a very saturated market being a website designer. If you own a business, you'll know that because there'll probably be 10 website designers phoning you up every month trying to sell you a website. So you got to search for that blue ocean. And this also ties into the business scalability. Like, how far can you take this? Is this something that's going to last you for 10 years? Is it a large aim? Can you go into a market and dominate it? And you can only do that if you find the blue ocean strategy, which is going into a market that nobody even knows exists at the moment. And I heard this term when I first come into marketing. It's called marketers create markets. So marketers, if you're working in marketing, you create new markets. And this blue ocean strategy concentrates specifically on that. So eliminating all the unnecessary stuff, eliminating, adding more value basically to the product, to the service, to the sector, to the industry. Or finding a market that's been undiscovered. Going very niche into something. Maybe that is podcasting, maybe it's something else, but by trying this and putting myself out there with this, I have had the chance to realise that yes, we live in an attention economy. Yes, this might not be my forte. I don't want to be the star and the centre of attention, but is that inevitable for us all? And also, could I build a business around somebody else doing that? Because I'll tell you what, Joe Rogan only got rich from Joe Rogan. What about young Jamie and the producers and all these people? And you're creating, if I build the right skill set, or you can build the right skill set and you try podcasting and you learn how to create videos and you learn how to create quality content that people are going to engage with, that has got commercial value in itself just simply because you can attract attention and that attention is going to be monetizable over time. So it's like, this is where we need to be concentrating at the moment. Yeah, you can go into biotechnology and all this stuff. And I've brought that up because it was mentioned on the All In podcast, which is Chamath and these investors. Basically, I started listening to it through this J. Cal. I don't know the full names, David Sachs and David Freenberg and all this. So there's these 4 high-quality investors all talking about business. You can learn a lot from that podcast. But one of them on Twitter, Jason, they call him J. Cal, is questioning Tether. And if you go back a couple of episodes, I mentioned this. And did I mention this earlier? Maybe so. But Tether is the stable coin that is keeping the cryptocurrency alive at the moment, providing liquidity to the market. But it's looking like that it's an entire Ponzi scheme and it's a scam. And we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. And it's getting some traction in the news at the moment. So again, it's about learning what people are going to know and people are going to care about in the future. And sort of bringing that to them, bringing high quality pieces of information to the marketplace online to let people, build attention basically. If you can create